In this rendering, I want you to understand three things about my hand illustration process. Number one, the importance of storytelling. Number two, how to edit your work. And number three, that this is not a linear process by any means. This drawing was done for a dog facility called Pet Camp, actually. And this is where dog owners would bring their dogs when they go on vacation or if their pets need specific training by dog trainers. Sounds very interesting, right? As with many of my work, there was very little design at this point for the project, but we wanted to imagine what this open space outside the building felt like for training individual dogs. For the exterior view, I was given the description for a fenced playground where individual dogs can be trained by someone in the facility. And in this area, we wanted to show some playground with various ground textures and different sensory areas for the dogs to go from one place to another. As you can tell from the SketchUp background that I received, I didn't have a whole lot to work with except for the basic building geometry and some interior placeholder that I needed to embellish in the drawing. As with most illustrations, finding the right entourage is the most important thing to get started, especially in the foreground where it's essentially a blank canvas. So I scoured the web for people and dogs that I could use, and there were plenty of websites out there with this kind of free entourage, so I'm not going to talk too much about it right here. Another place that I found entourage was straight from the client's website. There were plenty of good images that I could use as a background for a reference, and I selectively traced out certain people and dogs using iPad's internal screen capture tool. Important thing for you to know is that getting the composition right will take most of your time, and as it should, and you can clearly see from the example that's the case. So take your time and be patient with this phase of the illustration. I try to keep different types of information on separate layers, so if I needed to erase or move something, it's easy to edit that locally without disturbing other part of the drawing. But be sensible here. There's no need to go overboard by creating hundreds of layers, as there will be a headache to find a specific line work or object. And frankly, I don't think your iPad will allow you to create that many layers in general, but that depends on your internal memory size. Even if you've done your best job at composing for the scene, you might still get hit with a barrage of comments and red lines from your clients. Maybe you misunderstood something, or maybe the client has had a change of heart after seeing the initial draft. Sometimes it's both. So you must be prepared to make edits and change on the fly. And don't be surprised or annoyed if this happens to you. This is where a digital workflow shines. As you'll see in the revision timestamp, a huge amount of design has changed in the composition. And if it wasn't for drawing on the iPad, I literally would need to scrap the entire drawing and start all over again. But on the iPad, I traced over the revision with a red pen, erased or moved around a few things in the new drawing layer from the previous version without too much trouble. I'm just so glad this is possible with my workflow, and I think many of you will see the real benefits behind this, not just rendering, but in all kinds of design work. In this example, there was just one back and forth with a client, but I want you to understand that this could take up multiple rounds of revisions. So it's important for you to understand that this may come up if you are illustrating for someone else. While you could somewhat predict the time you need to complete a drawing, say if it's on 11 by 17 size paper, but taking on multiple client revisions needs to be considered as part of your overall fee structure if you want to charge someone. You don't want to find yourself in a position where you estimated a fee for the time to draw, but grossly underestimated the time with the client on revisions afterwards. I left a couple of timestamps in the video for you to jump to in case you want to skip ahead. Overall, this process from start to finish took about 3 hours to finish the drawing because there was this one big revision that I had to do. So that should give you an idea if you want to start something similar for yourself. And tell me if there's something that you want to hear more of, and I will try to address it in the future. And also, all the tools and brushes are included in the description below for you to download and case study files for you to reference from. I highly recommend looking at them if this is the first time that you came across my content. I hope you enjoy the rest of this tutorial. See you next time.